Welcome to Ready, Set, Hunt. Whether you're an aspiring, new, or seasoned hunter, join us as we share our experiences and learn from other hunters around the country. Happy New Year, Chris.
2026.
Here we are. A new year, new goals, perhaps.
In essence, this is a part 2 of a previous episode. However, 2025 was good to us.
It was a very good year. For those of you that remember or listen back towards the beginning of the hunting season, we had set goals for ourselves for the season. I think Chris made the lofty claim that he was going to be 100% successful. And to me, I don't know exactly how you define that, because 100% successful filling all your tags, that's one thing. But like, does that mean like every time you go out duck hunting, you fill a limit? Every time you go out pheasant hunting, you fill a limit? Like what does 100% success truly mean, Chris?
Bird hunting is different than the big game tickets.
You don't say.
Yeah, there's just so much more meat to take home on the big tags. So it's either all or nothing. It's either all or nothing. So that 100% has to fall on the big. If you go out and shoot a couple of birds.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified that after the season was done.
No, to be honest, the expectation on the front end is we're going to go out and bag something on every hunt. I guess we just pheasant hunted a few days ago. I guess that is probably not. We didn't get a pheasant. I shot a rabbit.
Yeah, you did. Did you take care of that rabbit yet?
Very little meat, I'll just tell you that. It was not a large rabbit at all.
I do remember seeing you holding it up. I'm like, oof, that is a young rabbit right there. No, but at the beginning of the season, we set goals for this year. My goal was to get 5 big game animals to fill my freezer. I was on a meat mission, and I did it. I got 5.
Round of applause.
Thank you. I'll take a bow.
I also left no tags unfilled.
I guess I left some tags unfilled, but that's just because I had multiple different types of like deer tags in Minnesota, firearm tags, archery tags, which I did shoot a whitetail with my firearm, and I did shoot a whitetail with my bow. So I did use them, but I used the bonus tags. So I didn't use the parent tag because I was holding out for $1 to fill one of those.
I did not purchase an archery tag this year in Minnesota. And I realize now as I'm speaking, I did leave a bonus tag
on the table.
Unfilled. Yeah.
Well,
but
can't win them all.
The qualifiers is that I shot 3 deer this year. 3? Yeah, 3 deer this year.
Yeah. 2 whitetails and a nice muley buck.
Did you have 4?
5, because I shot
5.
2 whitetail does. I got 2 antelope does, and then mule deer buck as well. So 5.
Well, I caught a lot of fish.
Yes, as did I.
Which is fantastic. Next week we should have one of our good buddies and a expert fly rod craftsman.
He was also a fly fishing guide. We're getting out of our realm a little bit of hunting, and we're going to talk a little bit of fly fishing, which should be fun for
awesome.
Those of you who have fly fished or interested in fly fishing. I think it'll be a great podcast. So stay tuned for that one. But what would you say about our Minnesota season this year? Last episode we recapped kind of our Western hunt, our Western hunting season. Minnesota, we kind of did what we typically do for the most part. We hit dove, we hit duck, we hit deer. We did get out for pheasant. I got out for pheasant one additional time to when we went out, and then I got out for grouse as well. But that pretty much covers Minnesota, doesn't it?
Yeah, this year I wasn't as focused on waterfowl as I desired to be. I don't think maybe any year I'm spending as much time as I would love to spend with just responsibilities and the amount of time that's allotted to that.
Hmm.
But overall, to be very choice with the dates that you are able to get out as far as big game or whitetail, and be privileged and blessed enough to know there's a lot of deer movement and volume in the area. I went home successful and I have plenty of meat in the freezer. So I'm super satisfied. I wish we would have been able to nab 2 extra doe on that last night we took our kids out, but can't win them all. So
We got to see deer at least, so that's exciting for the kids. Just to be able to see deer out during a hunt, that's pretty
we
exciting for them.
definitely could have shot, but it wouldn't have been ethical.
Yeah, that's true. It would have
It
been.
would have been a little bit of a firing range from
Yeah,
the doe. Just were on the move.
not really our style. Yeah, I mean, for me, for this season, I mean, I got out, like I said, I got out for pheasant once with you just a few days ago on January 4th. It was the last day of pheasant season. Snow was deep, it was windy. We did kick up some pheasants. We kicked up a couple hens and a couple roosters. But man,
The
that wind
roosters got up pretty far out.
I didn't see them get up because I was kind of working the other side of that little berm that you guys were on. I was the only one that shot at them, but
The
they
hens
had,
got up 10 yards from pretty much where I was.
yeah,
I could have put them down, but
right.
I don't have hen tags.
No such thing. Yeah, but those roosters, they just turned their wings and caught that wind, and they were just like, they're gone almost instantly.
Did you introduce any new equipment or gear this year? And as a recap, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, we've talked about them a million times. I'll just throw them out there one more time. Sig Sauer, Zulu 6 image stabilizing binos. That was the new piece of gear I used for this entire season. I used it starting in the spring with spring black bear, and then I used them throughout the fall for our fall hunt. And then I did use them in the tree stand as well, which is, I gotta say, it is really nice just being able to have like spotting scope stability when you're looking through the woods. To me, I don't think I could go back to any other kind of binos at this point. I really don't.
The only thing I would do is I'd order another pair with lower magnification because I think aren't mine 16s, if I remember
Yours
right.
are 16s. I have the 12s.
And I love that for out west, but it is helpful. Like I'm able to
Mhm.
see a nice frame at distance. As far as scanning goes, the field of view, which I guess they're the same, but it doesn't feel like it
It doesn't completely
at
feel like it.
all.
It does seem different to the eye for sure, because we would compare them side by side, looking at the exact same thing. But I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
but they're
having
game changer though.
I wouldn't mind having another pair with maybe like higher magnification, maybe even higher than the 16s, almost to almost replace a spotting scope in a way. But at the same time, it just depends on the type of hunt you're doing. Like if you're hunting in a unit that has like antler restrictions or point restrictions or something, and you need to like really verify what an animal is before you pursue it, there's definitely the argument there for still carrying a spotting scope or just like really high magnification binos. But for the most part, at least the types of units that we hunt, lower magnification still seems to do the job. And plus, we try and get in fairly close anyway. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about your
Aside,
boots? Did
right.
you ran your first full year in those, right?
Yeah. So I ran a pair of boots by Hoka this year, which they're more so like, I mean, they're boots, but Hoka is known for like making running shoes and like they have trail running line and everything. And so I ran some Hoka boots this year. You ended up getting them too, because we were both kind of looking for almost like a boot that was more sneaker like, lighter weight, a lot more flexible, just more comfortable overall. And I definitely learned the use cases for those boots. I thought they were very comfortable for the most part. And in many situations, they were great. There were some situations they weren't, which were kind of things I expected them to not be super great at, like when we were side hilling, making some stocks and in just like really steep, rugged terrain. They just don't really have ample ankle support. And they also just seem to have like a whole lot of room inside the boot. So my foot didn't feel super secure. And I got some hot spots pretty fast from that. But for like walking the grouse woods, they were great, super comfortable. I think they'd be great for whitetail hunting. They're overall just a comfortable boot, but just not just not quite enough support and probably not quite durable enough for what I would want for Western hunting. I actually had one of the top loops on the boot pop off during our mule deer hunt. So that was a little unfortunate, a
Were
little
you able
surprising.
to run the shoelace through a hole there or no?
I didn't do that. I was still able to make it work. It wasn't ideal, but I was still able to make it work for the rest of the hunt. But in hindsight, I probably won't wear that type of boot for that kind of hunt again. So,
See, I had a completely different experience. I just like a sneaker feel.
mhm.
I enjoy very, very easy, lightweight. I enjoy feeling the terrain. It's obviously not like it doesn't support as well as my Crispies do. If I was like, going Alaska or, well, I don't know, there'd be an argument to be made. If I'm putting on a ton of distance, obviously you want something durable, but I didn't have my inserts in it either in them. And I
Yeah.
think I had too much just play in my
Mhm.
foot, at least on the front end. So I'm curious to see how that would change if I throw my inserts in there and try it again. But yeah, they didn't hold up as well. I got a cut right in the front of it, which I can just super glue or, throw some glue on there. It did work great for throwing the gators over in that regard. I was fairly happy, but they are not going to stand the test of time for more than,
Couple seasons probably.
yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely not built to be. I mean, they are like a leather construction, but it's not. It's almost more like a suede leather. It's not super substantial. And I should say, during all these hunts, I did use just the insole that came with the boot. And after our experience out west, I did actually put my custom sheep feet in some insoles into the boot to see if that would make a difference in the way they feel. And it actually did make a pretty big difference in how they feel. So I'd be curious to know how big of a difference that would have made when we were out there. I mean, obviously, it's hard to say because I wasn't really doing the same types of hikes in them as we were out there. But, maybe a somewhat unfair comparison in a way. But yeah, those are really the two main new things that I tried this year, aside from just some different clothing. I tried some different clothing from Stone Glacier this year, which I really enjoyed. I used their de Havilland light pants. I've typically been a First Light pants guy. I really like the Corrigate Foundries, or I have in the past, but I really like the waist cinching or the waist belt system on the Stone Glacier pants a lot, and that really was, to me, is a big difference maker. So I did that. Had a couple Stone Glacier jackets this year. I've been switching kind of over to Stone Glacier for my clothing, my outerwear mostly, and I've had good experiences with that. It's held up pretty well. Anything for you, Chris?
No, I think overall I'm pretty happy with the gear and the setup I'm running now.
Mm-hmm.
Still always trying to test the time, trying to shed weight, right? Especially when you're backcountry hunting. I don't know. I'd like to improve kind of my nutrition, how I pack food. I think I'm pretty rudimentary when it comes to that. I throw some freeze dried meals in there, and I don't diversify or prep as much as I've seen you or like my brother-in-law do, which I think I envy, but it's just I like being, this is going to sound bad. I like being taken care of. Like I really enjoy, my wife is just phenomenal, and she always puts something on the table for mealtime. It just comes with the territory of having young kids and caring for them. So I deeply, that just ministers to my like soul when I'm able to like just walk upstairs and there's something set up. Even if I have to dish it up, that's okay. But most of the time it's like there. And that's just thoughtful. That's just a thoughtful meal plan. I'm not very thoughtful in my meal planning, even if I'm like hungry. I'll walk up and grab a couple jerky sticks, slice an apple. It's good stuff, but I have no plan. I have nothing planned out.
That's
So
very true. I do remember this past fall, you know, we were literally like 2 days from leaving, and I'm like mostly packed. All my stuff is together or whatever, and I have all my meals. I plan out my meals. I put all my food in a Ziploc bag for each day we're gonna be there. And I'm talking to Chris. I'm like, you got your like food, you get your meals all planned. He's just like, nope, not really. You're like, I'm just gonna throw some snacks into a bag and I'll have my freeze dried meals and we'll be good. Which, it still works out. It's worked out and everything. But
I mean,
I
we
personally
always
like being
seem to get
prepared.
a burger here or there. You know, you put something in the freezer, you tend to drive into town.
Hmm.
Uh, unless we did the dry ice thing or, we're prepped that way. But yeah, so I think there's that thing. Other than that, pretty happy with everything else across the board. We could get into 2026 and kind of our expectations and where that's going to go. But 2025 was really good to us. We talked in the previous episode about how we did our Wyoming hunt in the shortest amount of time, and it was like back to back to back tag outs. So fun. We would have been there even our full 6 or 7 days if we had our other buddy that had come with us and had his 3 tags, and we might have been able to do it.
It's possible.
It's
Yeah. It wouldn't
possible.
have been easy, but I definitely think it would have
We
been
would have done.
possible.
We would have got the muley done, the
Hmm.
additional muley, but the antelope, the 2 extra ones. Or
That
did
would
he
have
have
been the
one?
tough part. No,
He
he
had
had
two. He
he
had
had
two.
two.
Yeah.
I think that would have been the tough part, especially in that unit. It's just there's antelope there. They are there clearly because we found multiple groups.
I mean, 30 yards from us when we're walking.
Yeah, but it's a matter of they're pretty spread out. And it's not a huge unit, so it's not like you can, jump in the truck and drive, you know, a few miles and see brand new country. It's like it's a pretty condensed area, and so there's not going to be a lot of groups of antelope. So basically, what you see is what you get. So it would have been possible, but who knows? Who knows? It would have completely changed the entire hunt had he been along with his text. And again, not saying that that would have been a bad thing at all, but it just would have been different. We
I
would have
just
had different goals, different expectations, different logistics.
I saw this video. I'm a film background, and I saw this video of this new super beefy drone, and it was like in China. I don't remember if it was a DJI or something, but it's like a mammoth. It's like just a beast of a drone, and it carries like heavy equipment up into the mountains or whatever. It's big. It's like a small car size drone. And I was like, you know what? It'd be fun to just hook up some stuff, get one of those, and just here's the drop point, and you just send it because it sounds like a stinking special ops helicopter when it goes. The blades are massive, but you could just send that thing into the wilderness, hike into that point with like no weight, set up, and then dip out,
Well, we'll just
send it
have to
back to the truck.
contact the Chinese government and see if they'd be willing to lend us one because we certainly can't afford it.
Well, I mean, it's a Chinese company, DJI, I believe, but they do a ton of film equipment and drones
Hmm.
here in the States. But I'm just being playful in my head. It'd be fun. I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper back into that terrain that we've been to twice now in Wyoming, and I really want to explore what's back there. Just we'd have to do it light,
Sure.
and the pack out would suck.
Let's talk about 2026. Looking forward, do you have any goals in mind for 2026? So this year was really like a meat mission, or this past year, 2025, 26, or the same. Or I always have the goal, for example, to put meat in the freezer. It's always a goal because we eat a lot of meat here. We like eating wild game. But do you have any additional goals? Whether that be species specific or class of animal, or is there a certain type of hunt that you really want to do more next this upcoming year?
Good questions. I think those questions are probably asked at a interesting time because you're at the tail end of the 25 season, so there's a little bit of sense of burnout
Hmm.
when you've planned and gone on a bunch of trips. And I added 2 fishing trips in there, and there's just a lot going on. I'm pretty settled in to putting some meat in the freezer. I don't think I have any established goals in my head yet. I would love to go back spring bear hunting and go after that monster because I know where that big guy is, and there's just no way anybody else has been there or even probably seen him. There's a chance, but it was a hike into where he is, and I assume he is just kicking it there. So even like getting up there, it's in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
probably a good 4 or 5 year window where I would entertain doing that again. It's a different part of Montana than I'm probably gonna hunt often, so it just requires a little bit more time since it's like a 4.5, 5 hour drive from where we normally probably hunt.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Like other than that, probably just I'd like to get out walleye fishing to South Dakota or something like that. Something I wasn't able to do this year with some of the other buddies that I have that I got invited along for. And then just I am looking forward to if our plan is archery elk this year, which seems like that's the direction it's going. There is a small excitement ready to just hit the launch pad. I've watched a few hunts, and my 2-year-old boys are hunting, hunting. They want to watch hunting all the time on YouTube. So I
Yeah.
got a little
My
bit of that kick. What about you?
archery elk, man. I think that's going to be pretty much my sole focus this year. In terms of like that's my goal. My goal is to kill an elk, preferably with a bow. It just depends on where we pull a tag, because if we pull in Colorado, which is one option. For our listeners, right now we're weighing options. We have options of where we can hunt, which is we're very blessed in that. There are some people who don't have multiple options, and then there's some people who have a lot to choose from. For us, we've got a couple options, and we're weighing Colorado and Montana, with the biggest differentiator basically being a tag cost because Montana is crazy expensive for non-residents, and then the other being that on the general tag in Montana you can hunt the archery season, and then if you don't fill your tag during the archery season, you can come back during the rifle season and try and fill your tag with a rifle. So Montana has that going for it, but I also have to like be realistic with myself in the fact that like am I really going to be able to make it out to Montana twice if I don't fill that archery tag?
Yes.
It's hard to say. So, but yeah, ultimately my goal is to kill an elk this year. It would be my first elk, and that's like the western game animal that has been elusive, and I so badly want to put a bull down, and I don't even care if it's a monster. I just want it to be, yeah. I just want a bull. So yeah, that's my main goal. I mean, and obviously you can do the stuff we normally do. I love getting out and chasing birds and ducks and whitetail and stuff too. I guess I have another miniature goal. I just don't know how realistic it is. So this past season, I got permission to hunt a new property. I may have talked about it on a previous podcast, but I got permission to hunt a new property about 15 minutes from my house, and so I ran trail cameras this fall. And I in the very first night that I had a trail camera out, I picked up a monster buck, like a true monster. It's I mean, I'm not going to give details of like where this is, but this is a 14, possibly 15 point buck, depending on what angle you're looking at. It is very wide, it is very tall, and I'm pretty sure it's very old. There are neighboring properties that also have trail cameras on them. All the neighbors have seen him, and he just makes his rounds. He doesn't show up for a couple weeks at a time. Then he'll show up, and then he'll disappear again. He was kind of the buck I was holding out for all season this year. I didn't shoot a buck this year because I really wanted to save my one buck in Minnesota for that deer if I ever had the chance on him. He just never came through when I was hunting that property. If I had a crack at him, that would be awesome. But again, he he was there so infrequently. The times he was there was so unpredictable. It didn't seem like it was necessarily a pattern. At least on the cameras I had on that property. I bet you if I had some more cameras spread out, maybe he would have shown up more often, or I would have seen him just by having cameras in different places. Man, that is the deer of a lifetime. I would guess, if I had to guess, I would say that he would probably score in the 170, somewhere in there, which is a very uncommon buck for Minnesota.
It's a nice deer. When I think back to Nebraska, that Nebraska buck is still just a monster.
Yeah. Well, he's dead
I
now,
don't think
Chris.
maybe
It's been enough years.
the one at my uncle's property too that I lost was also that caliber. And man, you don't often get your eyes on something like that. You get your eyes on nice deer a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a nice deer. That's a nice deer, that type of thing. But man,
there's very few times that you actually see a deer where like you almost pee your pants, kind of. It's like that kind of caliber deer. Like, my gosh,
yeah.
And the first time I saw that deer on my phone, because I have cell cameras now, that's a new piece of gear I use this year, Chris. I use cell cameras, which is a absolute game changer. I hate switching out SD cards, and I don't have to do that anymore. It's so wonderful. Anyway, but yeah, the first time I saw him on my phone, I couldn't believe it. I was like, where has this property been all my life? But yeah, so those are pretty much my goals for 2026. I hope I have the chance to fill them. I know for sure I'll be able to get an elk tag. It just depends on which state. And in life, man, there's just a lot of life happening right now. So I don't know what things are going to look like in September when the elk rut rolls around. So anything else exciting happening this upcoming year, Chris?
I don't know. I'm very much in a season of expectation of change. So I can sense that. I feel like it's kind of been a slow creep for the last 5 years. And some things have confirmed that over and over and over again. Some things haven't worked out. But I'm real present with my family right now. I'm salivating at the next conversation we're going to have of something that was just released by our friends who are not really our friends, but we'll call them our friends at Weatherby.
Maybe someday. I'm rocking that. I'm rocking that.
I don't know anyone there, but the point is, yeah, I'm coming out of 25. It's a great hunting season. I got a lot of life responsibilities just on my plate. I'm not totally hungry for the next season yet. There's that lull and just going back into family mode, dad mode, and the new year, a lot going on in the world. And yeah, but you want to get to the next conversation that we've been chatting about for the last 2 days?
Yeah. Coming out of 25, excited about a new 25.
Yes, sir. Now you're already shooting a rifle set up in the 25.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, just for some education purposes, we're talking calibers of rifles, ammunition, bullets, and I love my 7 Rem mag. If you're looking for a great rifle to add to your or hunting options, it's fantastic. Peter, I know ran a 30-06. That was fantastic. You did have a 7 for a hot minute.
And then I got rid of it.
With some scope issues, some glass issues. Wasn't the rifle. And then
turns out it wasn't the rifle, but I blamed it on the rifle.
Yeah. Amateur move.
Yeah, well.
We have guys running 6.5 PRC, Creedmoors, lots of different things.
Right now I run 280 Ackley.
Yep,
and which I absolutely love.
I was going to do a 280 over my 7, but it was during the ammo crisis of 2020, was it? Do you remember
2020, 2021, 2022.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a bad 3 years for ammo.
But we've been chatting for the last year and a half in the space of smaller caliber bullets, specifically because of why, Peter? What's the main reason that appeals versus the old tested time conversation about your grandpa shooting like a 300 Win Mag and it, as a kid, blows your shoulder out of alignment.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, it's mainly recoil, and there's gonna be people that listen to this that just say, "Oh, you wimps, you can't shoot a 30 caliber or whatever,
No,
or you can't
the
shoot a
fact is
7
we
rem
can.
mag."
The
The
fact is
fact
we
is
can.
the fact is we do shoot 7 millimeter cartridges right now, or 280s or whatever. I have owned a 30-06 and it was just fine. It was great. But the conversation, there's a
Especially in
lot of
recent years.
there's a lot of debate about this. It's been a very hot topic within the hunting world the past 2 years, is the small caliber craze. If the idea being that you don't need more gun or large calibers to get the job done, that shot placement is more important. And what's the thing that determines shot placement more than almost anything? Recoil. And it's just a fact that the larger calibers, the 30 cals, even some of the sevens, all those magnums, they do carry quite a bit of pop in the shoulder. And if you're not an experienced shooter, or even if you are an experienced shooter, the fact of the matter is you are going to shoot a rifle with lower recoil better than you are a rifle with large recoil, or like
Every time.
every time. It's just true. It's nothing about being macho. It's nothing about being recoil sensitive. It's just a fact of the matter is that the less that rifle moves, the more precise that you're going to be as a shooter. So, with that being said, a lot of people have been looking at smaller calibers. Anything from 22 caliber up to kind of 6.5 is where people are kind of starting to draw that line in terms of what they consider a small caliber. Once you get into the 270s and the 7 millimeters and everything, then you're starting to get up a little higher in the recoil table, unless you're talking like 7 mm 08 or something, which is known for pretty low recoil. But a lot of people are looking at 6 Creedmoor. Creedmoor is a new cartridge that came out a few months ago that has low recoil but excellent performance. Some people are even loving the 22 Creedmoor. I've heard some really good things about the 22 Creedmoor. For me, the 22 caliber just feels a little small.
I
Like,
don't think I could go there.
it's just a little too small for me.
6
Maybe,
Creedmoor is probably the smallest I could go.
yeah, which is 6 millimeter or 4.3. They're the same thing. Yeah, so that's kind of what
For those of you that aren't familiar with this, measurement talk regarding calibers, it is a learning curve.
Mhm.
The easiest thing to do is just watch some videos with like Ron Spolmer, somebody like that, lining up cartridges on the table and having
Another
those
great
lengthy conversations.
channel. Another great channel is Backfire.tv. They've got really good content, everything rifles. They really focus mainly on hunting, which I prefer, but they do talk about, just some other applications as well, whether it be like precision shooting or long range shooting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this caliber talk, it's really evolved in the last 10 years. That's subjective. I'm just being subjective with that, specifically because the modernization of bullets and how the manufacturing is happening, how the efficiency, the loading, the barrel manufacture, like we've reached such a peak and now plateau of technology that has enhanced the ability of shooters just getting into the space. And they're going to have so many options to be comfortable and effective at killing just about any animal they want. My 7 kicks, and it's not terrible, and that thing can knock down just about anything. So, I mean, it can knock down anything.
Yeah, but different cartridges are going to have different levels of recoil. So
Yep.
my 280 Ackley recoils less than your 7 Rem Mag. It's also going a little slower. Not significantly slower, but it's going a little slower. But the cartridge design plays a big role in how much a cartridge recoils, as well as how much gunpowder is in that cartridge, how heavy the projectile it is pushing out. All those things into recoil.
I
So,
lose my target in my glass when I pull the trigger.
mhm,
Like my rifle kicks.
yeah,
I've
and
learned
that's
to
with a
shoot it.
suppressor.
Yeah, and I've learned to shoot it very well, and I'm accurate at distance with that thing. But it's now, because I've listened to so much conversation about it, It's now in the front of my mind, not even the back of my mind, that I want something with less recoil where I can keep my target in the glass and rack another one and not be searching all over the place. So that's where we're at. That's with this announcement. We were talking a little bit smaller than this, like the 6 Creed for a while. We really honed in on the 25-06, which is very similar to this new Weatherby round that has come out. But man, just the eye test right now and watching some of the content on YouTube, watching stuff from Weatherby, looking at their site, I don't think I've been excited for a round nearly as much as I am at this one ever.
Yeah. So is it okay if I kind of explain this a little bit? So the 25 caliber is has been for a long time almost kind of the forgotten bullet size. There's two main up to this point. There's two main cartridges in the 25 caliber that most people will be familiar with if they're kind of in the hunting space. That's 25-06, like Chris mentioned, and then it's the 257 Weatherby, which is a fire-breathing dragon of a Magnum. Uh, Great round and still used widely. It's awesome. The performance is crazy. The problem with with the 25 caliber is that because it is an older caliber, it's not a caliber that's been as deeply, I guess, produced and researched as much as like the 6.5 millimeter caliber, for example. 6.5 is everywhere. You've got your 6.5 Creedmoor, you've got your 6.5 PRC, there's a 6.5 Weatherby RPM, there's a bunch of 6.5 millimeter cartridges out there. 25 has not been very developed. What is interesting about the 25 is that it actually has some of the best potential for having high ballistic coefficient and just being a very efficient bullet in general. There's something about the 0.25 inch caliber that is kind of a sweet spot. One of the reasons people really like 25-06, which is probably the most popular and common 25 caliber cartridge out there. I own a 25-06, is that it has very low recoil. Usually you're looking anywhere from like 12 to 14 foot-pounds of recoil, which is low. For reference, a 30-06 is usually like 21 foot-pounds or so. So you're probably a third, or no, not a third, about close to half the recoil of a 30-06, and it shoots at really high velocities, which is great because that means your bullet travels really flat. But the problem with 25-06 is that it doesn't really come in many high BC bullets, which means that the bullet itself, the older rounds, are not super efficient. And so, it'll still do the job on most anything, but it leaves a little bit to be desired, especially with a lot of the modern high BC, really long, skinny, slippery is a word some people will use, slippery bullets out there. 25-06 tends to use lighter, fairly light projectiles, usually in between anywhere from like 95 grains up to like 120 is really what you'd max out with for grain weight in a 25-06 in terms of factory ammo.
Yeah, if I give a little bit of depth on that, like a ballistic coefficient is a number that tells us how good a bullet is flying through the air without essentially slowing down.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a high BC bullet is going to be smooth. It's going to be pointed. I mean, typically they're tipped, like
a lot of them are.
And it flies further, faster, straighter. A low BC bullet is going to slow down quickly and drop more. It's going to have a little bit of wobble, probably more in it, or can. But as for us as hunters, for why we care about that, we're going to have less wind. Like wind is going to push that bullet less if it's flying more efficiently, cutting through the air more efficiently. So that means it's going to hit where you aim more easily, and then it's going to work better at distance for you. So like the super short version is, how good is the bullet at cutting through the air?
It's just they're more efficient. They carry energy further, and they maintain their velocity better than a low BC bullet. I mean, most like modernly, I would say that most people are looking for BCs in the fives or in the sixes would be considered a high BC bullet. In these days, now for the 25 caliber up to this point, most BCs for those bullets are going to be in the high threes and in the fours, which is still fine. Like it'll still get the job done, but it just doesn't compare with the high BCs of modern projectiles now. So this is kind of where the 25 Creedmoor comes in, which is not even the 25 that we're about to talk about, but the 25 Creedmoor was kind of the impetus of what maybe kind of caused Weatherby to move toward creating a new 25 caliber cartridge that uses high BC efficient bullets. So the 25 Creedmoor was produced by Hornady, and they created the 25 Creedmoor basically by taking a 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge, necking it down to a 25, and now they're using long, skinny, high BC bullets in their ELDM and ELDX lines. Kind of revolutionized the 25. As soon as I saw them about a year ago, or it might have been about 2 years ago, but when they announced the 25 Creedmoor as a SAMI approved cartridge, I was like, oh, this is the beginning of a quarter bore revolution. I think we're going to start seeing a bunch of quarter bores popping up. And sure enough, January 7th, which is 2 days ago now, or no, just yesterday, which is yesterday, Weatherby announced their 25 Weatherby RPM, and RPM stands for Rebated Precision Magnum. Essentially, it looks like a 25-06. It looks like it has the shoulders of a 280 Ackley, and it's shooting slippery, efficient bullets at high speeds. I mean, depending on which projectile we're talking about, we're looking at like I think the 130 grain Burger, they're looking at 3,000 feet per second, right?
Hold on. The 107 grain is 3350.
That's the Hammer custom bullets, right? Which is a solid copper monolithic bullet.
Yeah, the Burger's at 3 flat.
Yep, the Burger's
That's 133. That's a 133 grain.
That's a 133 grain coming out of a 25 caliber. That's a heavy bullet for a 25, and that's still cooking. That's still going fast. If you go down and look at like the 117 grain Barnes TTX, what is it?
3150 FPS.
50, and that bullet still has a ballistic coefficient of like 0.53, and that's also a solid copper. So right now it sounds like Weatherby is offering 2 solid coppers in the Barnes and the Hammer, and then they have a cup and core bullet in the Burger, which is kind of more of a fragmenting style bullet, and then they do have the Hornady SSTs, which has a pretty low ballistic coefficient, but it's a lot more cheap. It's a lot cheaper, a lot more economical to shoot. So that would maybe be a good round for like target practice and stuff. But if you're going to be hunting, I would use maybe either the Barnes or the
Yeah, they're going to be spendy. Like they're expensive ammo.
It's a Weatherby round. It's going to be expensive,
but it's exciting.
It is exciting. But Chris, what have I been telling you the past couple weeks when we've been talking about toys? I said, what's inevitably going to come?
I mean, what we're talking about.
I'm not talking about the Weatherby.
I mean, the 25 Creedmoor.
But what did I say was inevitably going to come after the 25 Creedmoor? What happened with the 6.5 Creedmoor? What came after that? 25 PRC.
Yeah.
It hasn't, Hornady hasn't announced it. It's a Hornady round. Hornady hasn't announced it, but like they have the 6.5 PRC, they have the 7 PRC, and now that they have the projectiles for the 25, and now that Weatherby's come out with their 25 Magnum, it's just a matter of time that Hornady's going to come out with a 25 PRC to try and compete. So Chris, why the 25? Look, why do we love the 25 so much?
So we're back to the recoil conversation and keeping the target in your field of view in front of you. Repeatability as far as shooting, like comfortability. And with the bullets being as efficient as they've grown and been created to be, you can now take larger game comfortably, knowing your shots are just like in the kill zone. Like you're accurate with where you're landing those. That's creates for a lighter rifle. It creates for me my next iteration of like what I'm going to add to my hunting repertoire. Like I've been looking for like I have a 7 that I can do it all with and I love it and it's my first rifle. I'm never going to get rid of it. But I'm into that custom space now. So now I've been
Mm-hmm.
talking for a couple of years since, we started entertaining what would it look like to custom build a rifle. And we've been kind of all over the place. You've been anchored pretty well, I think, to Weatherby. And I've warmed up to that as I've gotten to know the company a bit more and looked at their product offerings. And I think I'd definitely go the custom shop route for just I think aesthetics. I just kind of am set on a certain look and feel to what I want to do. But yeah, I mean, throwing a titanium suppressor on the end and having a carbon fiber stock, minimalistic, a lighter glass on top in a lower recoiling. I think, granted, when you get a lower weighing rifle altogether, it's going to kick a little bit more than a heavier one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bench rifle, but yeah, I mean, I want something small, efficient, fast, deadly, and that I'm going to use on just about anything. I'd go shoot an elk with this. I'd have no problem and no worry about that.
Yeah,
So
I mean the numbers show that it is well capable of doing it. And there's gonna be the people that poo poo that and say that 25 caliber is way too small to use in an elk. But it's like, man, again, it comes down to shot placement. It really does. And the what I like about the 25 also, we touched on the recoil. We touched on it just seems like it hits a sweet spot. It's not quite as small as a 6, and the 6.
like what's the maximum effective range as far as energy that the people or the community tend to say is needed for an elk kill ethically?
1500 typically, if you go look on forums, or even if you Google it, Google AI, and any article you ever read is going to say that conventional wisdom says you need 1500 foot-pounds of energy,
And that is going to get you out to just a little bit over 500 yards.
which is like
You're like
there's
typical
going to be
shooter
very
max effective range. Like that's where I live. I don't know about other guys. 500, 550 is where so far I've been really comfortable ringing the bell or hitting the plate.
yeah. And
I
the thing with that too, though, is like, how many hunting situations have we been in where that's necessary?
Yeah, I mean everything has been 370. Was it what I shoot this year? 2,
370.
370,
I thought it was 370 flat.
something like that. So that's a dead deer every day for me.
Yeah. So if you're talking elk, an elk is going to be that much larger.
I mean, even sitting up in our glassing spots for what we did, the hunts we did this year, and ranging, our average distance was no more than it was well under 300 every time. So it looks way further, especially when you like pull your rangefinder out and you're like, that's only 254 yards? No
Mm-hmm.
way. It looks so far out there. Even when you're ranging something way out there that you pick up on the horizon, you're like,
That's
that's
only
12.
800 yards.
Yeah, that's only 800 yards or 1,200 yards. It looks like it's like 27 miles,
Yep.
but it's not. When that conversation comes into play, it's like, Peter, that's 427 yards. You can
Mm-hmm.
ring that all day long.
Yep.
Now you just open up the possibilities. That's not our goal. We're not out here sitting up trying to take Coriolis shots or anything like that. All right, I'm going to curve this 27 feet. Watch this, Pete. That's not
Yeah.
happening, but
The 6.5 has always kind of been the darling of in terms of the efficiency space for bullets. but that's also because they just have never made a high BC 25. And so you're getting into the 130 grain class, and that's like pretty darn close to a lot of the bullet weights you're going to see in the 6.5, 6.5 class of bullets. Those might get up into the 1s, but like you're in a very similar ballpark, and the bullets on the 5 or the 25 are just as efficient, if not more efficient.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be super comfortable owning a 6 Creed.
Yeah. Like
And
they did
I'd take Bear, like I'd take everything with that thing to a certain distance, right? And that's where it comes in. Like what's my max effective distance as a shooter, and for what I want the bullet to do. Smaller bullet, you're going to need to be closer. It's just generally that's what's going to need to take place. But
yeah. But anyway, so the Ready Set Hunt crew is pretty in love and set on the 25 Weatherby RPM. Hopefully, in the next couple years, that will become a reality for at least one of us, if not both of us. I mean, I still have my 25-06, and so there is the question in my mind is like, is there truly enough of a difference? And there is, in the fact that 25-06 factory rifles typically come with a 1 in 10 twist barrel, which is usually not a fast enough twist to stabilize modern bullets. If it were, I'd just probably stick with the 25-06 and, just get into hand loading and use higher BC bullets. But the 25 Weatherby RPM has a 1 in 7.5 inch twist, which is like, that's a fast twist, and that's necessary to stabilize those high BC bullets. So unfortunately, my 25-06 is kind of stuck using the old stuff, which again is effective. People have used it for a long time. It's a great round. I think if anything, I'll keep that rifle around for my kids. It's a good youth caliber just because it's so low recoiling. But I do want that fast twist 25 just to bring things into the modern age and just have a sweet caliber. I don't know. It's just, or a sweet cartridge. It's cool. I love 25s.
Yeah. Agreed. One thing that I have been talking that I will be updating for our archery hunt is my arrow setup. And that's something I'm looking forward to. It's always fun picking out new colors for the arrows you're going to run. It's totally superficial, but it's fun.
Yeah. And Chris hasn't up to this point, but I think Chris is going to have me help him on this. But I've built my own arrows to this point. Where when I say build, I mean I've assembled my own arrows. I order the components and I do everything in terms of seating the inserts and fletching the arrows, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, pretty excited. It's a fun little process, and it really is fun because you can really do that personalization and everything. Choose your own veins and figure out what flies best for you. Choose 3 fletch versus 4 fletch, all that stuff. Figure out what your FOC is going to be, how heavy of an insert you want to run. It's such a bottomless pit of opportunities, whatnot. So yeah, that is a new thing for 2026. I probably need to make a couple of new arrows. I'm starting to get a little bit low. I think I got like 8, and I'd like to, or of my hunting arrows, I have like 8, and I'd prefer to have maybe a dozen. So I got to do a few more. But anyway, I think maybe with that, Chris, we can wrap up this one. Again, next week we're hoping to have our buddy on. Next week will be a little bit of a deviation from the hunting space. Like we said, we'll talk some fly fishing, we'll talk some trout, we'll talk Montana, rivers, all that kind of stuff. Do you want to preview anything else about that, Chris?
Nope. I look forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Anyway, until next time, guys, thank you for joining us. I'll give you the regular spiel. Share with your friends, leave a review, give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating if you think it's worth it. It is. And we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
So long.